Good morning, everyone. Here we go. It's the Pizza Buffet live here on Forward Progress, presented by FanDuel. I'm Rob Pizzola, Pro Bettor, CEO of the Hammer Betting Network. I'll be with you for the next hour. Now, I'm going to take a couple minutes off the top to let people file into the stream here. Grab a coffee, do whatever you got to do. I'm just going to lay out how today and the rest of this season will run. I appreciate seeing a lot of familiar faces and new faces in the chat as well. Good morning to Mike Montoro, Free 88, John, Sam Sneed. Good to see you guys all back this year. Simone Hunter, I see you over there as well. Appreciate everyone who's in here in the early morning here, week one in the NFL. Now, quick reality check. It is very hard to beat NFL sides and totals on a Sunday morning. Some books are already taking 100K clicks. That is not an excuse. It is the truth. I appreciate every single person who tunes in to hear what I have to say, but know that about 98% of my sides and totals over the last 5 years were bet on Friday or earlier. So just throwing that out there. If you want to get ahead next week, we have a ton of early week content here on Forward Progress that can help you time the market a bit better, but don't fall into the trap of unloading on these plays today. Now, don't want to be a downer to start the year as well, but I just do want to address something because I've gotten some DMs earlier and I already saw it show up in the show chat even before I started today. So there was a video that we posted on the Hammer HQ this morning. I rotate my head throughout the entirety of these shows because I have a vast monitor set up, and you will notice some stitches on the left side of my face. Some people have already. I basically live my life in an open forum. I don't want to just ignore a bunch of comments till the end of time. I don't really care. I can talk about my life publicly. So when I got back from Bet Bash, I was diagnosed with melanoma. It was caught very early. I had a procedure on Friday to remove it. I'm in good spirits. Nothing, bothering me right now. If all goes well, I can avoid chemo or radiation or anything like that. I love the NFL. There was no way I was missing week one. So I just do want to address it. This is not for sympathy or anything. I kind of just want it to go away after a while, but just so it doesn't come back up over and over the course of the show. So I'm in good spirits. I'm doing well. Should be fine. And just a message for everyone out there. If something feels off, go see a doctor immediately. I have made plenty of mistakes in my life, but getting checked out right away was probably the best decision I have ever made because it saved me from maybe years of dealing with this type of thing. So appreciate all the well wishes in the chat. Thank you very much. But I'm doing great, and I'm going to continue to power through NFL content as much as possible this year while I'm dealing with this. Format is the same show that you know from previous years. I will give you my thoughts on every game on the Sunday slate. You'll see a graphic with my numbers for each matchup, rounded to the nearest half point. These numbers were produced last night, so some of them might be a little bit different based off of this morning's news, but I will explicitly outline that if that's the case. I'm going to break down what I like, what I don't like. I'll also try to give my favorite prop look for every game, as long as it doesn't move while I'm on air. If I give a prop, you can assume that it's playable across the entire market. Always shop for the best price, though. Check out our presenting sponsor, FanDuel, as well, because they often have the best number on a bunch of these. This show thrives on you guys. I keep my phone off and to the side so I can focus here. If you see breaking news, drop it in the chat. I will see that in real time. I also want your opinions on every game. Fire away as we go. I will try to work your notes and feedback into the flow of the show as well. Finally, if you can like the stream, please do so. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subbed here already. Please do so. And share this with a friend if you can. Either now, after the show, whenever. It helps a lot. It's week one. YouTube is hunting for new content to push out to people. Give the algorithm a reason to serve this out to other people. So like, sub, share, please. Thank you, everyone, returning for another season. If you're new, welcome in. You're in the right place. And let's get into it. Let's start with the first game on the board. Steelers and the Jets. No real new injury information here as Derek Harmon is out for the Steelers. Elijah Vera Tucker is on IR with the triceps injury. Potential rain throughout this game. Doesn't look too bad, but it is something where most of the game will probably be played wet. I use the Jets in a lot of contests. I bet the Jets this week. I know that there's differing opinions on this game. I'm not a huge fan of either of the quarterbacks in the matchup. Now, we'll start with Justin Fields. The biggest concern I would have for the Jets offense, aside from the fact that I don't think Fields is a good quarterback, is that he's kind of built to be able to use his legs in a lot of matchups. He's not the most prolific passer, doesn't really attack downfield, doesn't process the field well. And Pittsburgh has done a very good job in the Mike Tomlin era for a long time of dealing with mobile quarterbacks. Last year, they held quarterbacks to 55 scrambling yards, the best single season mark by any team since 2009. So I don't think Fields is going to have a great game with his legs. I do think they'll lead on Breece Hall and Braylon Allen. They'll try to stay out of long downs, and they'll make this a field position game. I kind of think that's exactly the same way that the Steelers play this as well, where they're very comfortable turning it into a field position game. That's kind of been the MO under Tomlin for a while now. When Pittsburgh has it, I would expect Arthur Smith to live in like some pretty heavy personnel, try to run at the Jets. The Jets have a soft spot on their defense. It's the interior run defense. But passing-wise for Pittsburgh, I mean, I think this matchup tilts heavily towards New York. Sauce Gardner on DK Metcalf, that is a battle that Sauce should win most often. Metcalf had a lot of contested target volume last year, didn't catch a lot of those balls. I would expect that it'll be very challenging for the Steelers receivers to get open in this game. Aaron Rodgers prefers like these quick outside throws. That plays directly into the hands of this Jets secondary. I think the ball needs to funnel to tight ends a little bit more in the middle. I think Pittsburgh can live with that, Pat Freiermuth, Jonnu Smith. But overall, I just can't get anywhere near the field goal. And it's kind of hovering around there at FanDuel right now. Total's been bet down to 38, and it's lived there for the remainder of the week. One other like macro angle for this game, Aaron Rodgers has been pretty poor in week one when he hasn't taken preseason snaps. Like pretty bad. The biggest output his offense has put up is 19 points, followed by 10, 7, and 3. Might be something there, might not be. Historically speaking, we do tend to see quarterbacks that didn't play in the preseason struggle a little bit early on in the year. That's kind of baked into market now. But in this particular matchup, I just can't get to a full 3. I'm down on both of these teams, but I do prefer the Jets. Asking the Steelers to win by 4 on the road with the limitations of their offense, in my opinion, I'm happy to take the 3 with the New York Jets in this game. From a props perspective, because I do think everything will be underneath for both teams, I thought Justin Fields' completions was a little bit low at 16.5 across the board. Also, with the rain happening, I don't think you're going to see a ton of deep shots necessarily from these offenses. I think everything will kind of be underneath. So at 16.5, Justin Fields, I like him over on completions from a prop angle. We'll get to the next game in a second. Timothy Wagner says CMC in. I'll definitely talk about my thoughts on that when we get to San Fran, Seattle later on. Okay, game number 2, Dolphins and Colts. Just looking at the board now, Colts have flipped to favorites. If we're looking across the screen from left to right, we even have some sharp books out to Indy -2. FanDuel's out to 1.5 right now. So between last night and this morning, you've seen a one-way stream of money on the Indianapolis Colts, which I'll talk about in a second. It's kind of the way that I subjectively leaned. Numbers-wise, I don't have a strong opinion on this game. Looks like James Daniels, the right guard for the Dolphins, will play. Based off the practice squad elevations, I think it's looking good for him, even though he was DNP on Friday with an ankle injury. That would be pretty big for them. They're already down a guard on the offensive line, but obviously multiple injuries in the secondary heading into the year at cornerback. So if we're looking at these teams just as they enter the season, Indy's fairly healthy, with the exception of Tyler Goodson, who was banged up, and Miami is not. Now, with Miami having the ball, you look at their last look with all their starters in preseason, it wasn't great. Protection was really bad. That was before you factored in the James Daniels playing banged up on a bad ankle. Now, Miami will still threaten space with the speed that they have with Tyreek, Waddle, Devon Achane. But Indy's structure is pretty decent for what Miami will throw at them. They were solid versus 21 personnel last year. They were pretty solid against motion as well. I think you'll see a lot of simulated pressure and then play zone behind it to try to stress the Dolphins' protections and Tua's timing as well. If Miami moves it, I think it's through Achane and tight ends in the middle windows more than I think it'll be vertically. I just don't think that the Colts are going to give them those types of shots. On the other side, Indy with the ball, the Colts offensive line is not the fortress that it used to be. Like Ryan Kelly is gone. Braden Smith is not the same player at right tackle. Miami's best defensive trait is that they can force some heat, and they probably will be able to. That would be a big headache for Daniel Jones. The counter for the Colts is to play quick game to Michael Pittman. Let Tyler Warren eat some yards after the catch. He broke tons of tackles in college. Sprinkle in play action. Force Miami's cornerbacks to tackle, right? That's kind of the game plan, I think, for Indy in this one. Quick hitters. Miami's run D is pretty sturdy, so I don't think Jonathan Taylor is going to live off of big plays in this game. I think the Colts can muddy Miami's rhythm a little bit in this game, and that's kind of why I lean towards Indianapolis, but I don't have a strong opinion here. I've made it known that I think Daniel Jones might be a really good fit in this Shane Steichen offense. We'll see about that today, because if you can't move the ball on the Dolphins, especially with that secondary, it's probably going to be a long year. But not really surprised to see the Colts money, if I'm being completely honest, but to me, there's not really much to do at this point in time. Prop perspective in this one, I talked about this when I was on Miami radio on Thursday, but Devon Achane, his reception total is 4.5 right now. There's some plus money on that out there in the moment. I would go as high as like -115 to the over on Devon Achane. I really think this sets up as a game where he is utilized heavily out of the backfield, get Tua in rhythm, try to break some tackles on the outside. I see him being extremely involved in the passing game for today. John Smith says, Dolphins defense solid in disruption pressure rate. I really love the D-line for the Dolphins. I really do. Miami play calling when Tua came back is some of the best of the last decade. I think McDaniel gets a bad rap because he's kind of like a little bit crazy. Looks like me, so I'm naturally, I'm going to stand for him. He's a good-looking guy. But, yeah, we'll see. Lots of unknowns in this particular game, in my opinion. As it's week one, we're making educated guesses on a lot of this stuff. But we're going to make some more educated guesses along the way. Let's move on to Carolina and Jacksonville. From an injury perspective, Jacksonville, clean bill of health going into this week. Carolina, I don't think Ike Ekwonu's officially been ruled out yet, but I don't think he's playing. He had the appendectomy. Also a game where you might see some inclement weather. It's really challenging with these Jacksonville home games to predict like when the rain is going to come. But I actually think there's a decent live angle here. If you're someone who watches multiple screens at once, I wouldn't mind having this on one screen because you have some threat of torrential downpour at some point, and it probably would happen really quickly where you can pounce on the under before the market adjusts to that. Speaking of the market adjusting, it's been a flood of Jacksonville money since last night, closer to my raw number. We had some debate back and forth on this game on Thursday's Best Bet show here on Forward Progress, but as it stands now, pretty consistently Jacksonville laying 4 out to even 4.5 at FanDuel across the board right now. Total in this game has since been bet back down. I think part of that could potentially be because of the threat of downpour at some time. There was a ton of over money on this game early in the week, and we're seeing the market settle back down right now. Now, I did grab some Jags at low juice. I did talk about this week. I know that there are some smart contrarian cases on Carolina. Suma's on the Panthers, for example. It pains me to fade friend of the program, Eric Eager. Great guy. But I think this is a clean reboot for Trevor Lawrence. And this is just my opinion. He hasn't really shown a ton for, I guess to justify this opinion. But Liam Cohen brings modern sequencing and really good red zone plays with him. I mean, in his last stop in Tampa, he took a bottom-tier red zone unit. He turned them into a top-tier unit in 1 year. You add in that they have like a true field stretcher in Brian Thomas Jr. They probably have some Travis Hunter gadget snaps ready to go. I think suddenly Jacksonville can just threaten on every level. Carolina's defense is very light on proven pass rush. They lost their only consistent edge rusher last year, Jadeveon Clowney. The secondary gave up way too many explosives. Yes, injuries played into it, but I think that Liam Cohen can really dial up some offense against what I think is a very, very bad Panthers defense. Now, Carolina's offense is better than last year's market thought they were. Bryce Young's second half was a real step forward under Canales. He's got another offseason in the system. He's got a Ted McMillan now who gives him some vertical juice. I think the Panthers offense could be a middle-of-the-pack offense out of the gate. The problem is protection with Ike Ekwonu likely not playing. They have to shuffle at left tackle. Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker, those guys can tilt key downs. Like, I don't like Jacksonville's defense. They were near the bottom in efficiency against a very easy slate of opponents last year. They didn't overhaul much beyond Hunter. So Carolina will still find some yards. Chuba on early downs should be fine. Quick game to keep Bryce Young clean. But sustained explosive scoring drives are going to be way tougher if the edges win for Jacksonville. So at this price, probably a little bit out of range right now. You've seen the market move, but I do see the case for Jacksonville. They have more path to explosives. They have more paths to red zone conversion. So I like that a decent amount. From a props perspective in this game, I played some Parker Washington under 1.5 receptions. The best I saw before coming on air was minus 125. Probably good to, I'd say, minus 155. Roughly is where I have it priced. Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter getting full reps. De'Ami Brown, potential inclement weather. I just don't think there's enough target share for Parker Washington, so I played him under 1.5 receptions. XS says Bryce Young had 0 yards in 3 drives last preseason game versus backups. Historically, I've done some work on the starters playing in preseason versus how they perform earlier on in the year. And I think there's a lot of noise there, but it is worth calling out for sure. Liam Cohen even mentioned in his final presser that the team has contingency plans for a delay. Good to note insight there. Although if you're live betting an under in real time, probably not looking for a delay. Okay, I'll keep it moving here in a second, but a reminder, Forward Progress is brought to you by FanDuel. We are very happy to have FanDuel as a sponsor again this season. And football fans, you know it, the wait is over. The NFL's back. The best place to kick off the season is on FanDuel because every game day during week 1, FanDuel is giving all customers a no-sweat NFL bet. From the money line to player props to SGPs, your no-sweat bet can be used on any NFL wager type. And if it doesn't win, you'll get bonus bets back. You can use bets I'm giving out on the show today, whether that's props, sides, totals, whatever. Anything we've posted on Forward Progress this week or just whatever the hell you like, you can put it in. So this season, make FanDuel your go-to app for any snap. Visit FanDuel.com/forwardprogress to kick off the NFL season with a no-sweat bet every game day during week 1. Play your game with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. You must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C., 19 plus and physically located in Ontario, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Opt-in required. Refund issued as a non-withdrawable bonus bet that expires 7 days after receipt. Max refund $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply, including token expiration. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Call Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 or visit connectsontario.ca. All right, keep it moving here. Just in time, got the update on Andrew Thomas, officially out today. Thank you very much, Connor and Ekshesh, for posting that in the chat. I was kind of waiting on that one, although it seemed very, very doubtful. So, Giants-Washington, we did see a pretty hefty tick towards the Giants last night. In some of the sharp spots, they were bet down to 5.5. We're now seeing that bet back up. So, differing opinions on this game. Washington and the Giants, some flood of money on the Giants yesterday, bet back up today. Part of it could be the Andrew Thomas news as well. My numbers lean very slightly towards the Giants here. I think Washington comes back down to earth this season, but life is too short to stake it on Russell Wilson against Jaden Daniels in week 1, in my opinion. I think the Andrew Thomas injury matters a lot. If anything, it nudges me under the market total right now, which 45.5 across the board. A few weeks ago, I did think, Andrew Thomas would be ready for week 1. Doesn't look like that's the case. Now, when Washington has the ball, I don't buy like this blanket second-year slump for Jaden Daniels. I think a lot of people just assume that that's a thing. It happens to every quarterback. Well, I happen to think Daniels is pretty elite. The supporting cast is decent. They actually have a premium tackle in the building now at left tackle. He's got a lot of help against a Giants front that is frankly very good and can win with Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau. Even with that upgrade at left tackle, though, I don't think he's going to be kept clean all day. So you're going to see him use his legs. You're going to see the option game. You're going to see some second reaction throws. New York should also be pretty stout against the run and even better on the back end now after adding Javon Holland. That's going to push Washington to be more efficient underneath and in the quarterback run game than explosive, in my opinion. It's worth noting Washington handled pressure really well last year. They were top 5 against the blitz. So it's not just a free pass to like blitz Washington at this point and hope that leads to success. Now, Giants offense is concerning for me. Dan Quinn's identity is pressure. Washington blitzed a ton last season. They knocked down quarterbacks at a top 5 rate when they sent it. That's pretty scary with Thomas not going in this game. The Commanders still have a pretty underwhelming remainder of their defense. So a lot of this heat that they generate is manufactured. That's going to create chances on the outside. Is Russ the quarterback that's going to take advantage of those? I don't know. Malik Neighbors should win on the outside. He's going to command a massive target share this year. I would expect some more too high and zone tilts towards Neighbors in this game, which means that Russ has to be patient, lean on the quick game, let Tyrone Tracy, punch in the run game as well. But my worry for the Giants is quarterback play and protection. It's not the weapons necessarily. Washington rode some pretty noisy edges last year. All-time 4th down conversion rate, schedule full of backups and bottom-tier quarterbacks, a defense that was near the bottom in week-to-week consistency. So I get the argument either way. Personally, if I had to play anything in this game at current market, it's the under. I think there's pretty sound arguments to be made for both sides. From a prop look, I see a lot of people really like Slayton in the chat. John Smith likes Slayton alts. Godspeed said Slayton over 26.5 receiving yards I liked earlier this week. I'm going to the crowded Commanders backfield. I saw Hitman released a play earlier this morning on JCM overs and rush yards. And I'm kind of targeting something similar, but instead I'm going to play Chris Rodriguez under on rush yards. Now, this one is one you want to shop around for the best price because it's literally all over the place. I'm actually surprised he's even listed. But, I mean, I'm very concerned about usage for Chris Rodriguez. This is a very crowded backfield with JCM, Eckler, McNichols. Oh, he's inactive. It's off. Yeah, I just noticed it got canceled. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. All right, we just move on. I'm not going to waste any more time on it. Was a good play in principle. At least I get my money back. Cincy and Cleveland, next game. No new injuries to speak of here. Injury report has been pretty clean for the majority this week. I like Cleveland in this game. My raw number is under 4. Market is settled in here. Wow, well, market has been bet down in the last little while as well. Yeah, we're seeing 4s across the board. Just a stream of Cleveland money. Doesn't surprise me. Very much where I'm on market now. I'm not buying the Bengals defense at this price. I also think the Browns are graded way too harshly last year because they were cycling through brutal quarterbacks. I also prefer Kevin Stefanski to Zach Taylor in a week 1 plan and script game. My mildest worry would be that the Cincy O-line is a bit better than people think, but not enough to get me off of it. This has been a matchup that's been, bothered Joe Burrow for a long time. Cleve TA of cleveanalytics.com, part of our team here at Forward Progress, has done some pretty extensive work into breaking down all of these Burrow starts against the Browns. He's posted a negative EPA in 4 of the last 8 starts against him, and that's 50% of his starts versus 23% against everyone else. So Jim Schwartz is ultra aggressive. He has an ultra aggressive front. Myles Garrett has killed this matchup as well. I don't think they're going to completely shut down Cincinnati, but for some reason or another, Denzel Ward has won a lot against Jamar Chase. If they are forcing Burrow into some long downs, that defense will really show up in this one. So concern there. On the other side, if there's a spot for the Cleveland offense to look competent, it is here. Cincy's defense was an abomination last season. They turn over to Al Golden now. That transition can take time. And Joe Flacco's profile fits against this defense. He had a high ADOT last year. He was very efficient in games against weaker pass defenses. Put up some pretty high numbers in those games as well. So I'm not really going to build this case around Cincy struggling early in the year. They tried to change that around. Burrow was healthy in the preseason this year as well. But bottom line for me is I think that Bengals defense is too bad to be laying these types of price tags on the road. So Browns here for me. From a props perspective, I played Flacco over on passing yards. The highest I saw in market this morning was 243.5. I think that's way low. I have him projected in the high 250s for this type of game. I know some people will be concerned by the weather in Cleveland from this morning, but that's going to clear up by the start of the game. I'm actually watching some stuff on TV right now where it looks a little bit better. So, that's not a concern to me whatsoever. All right. Sean Higgs, $100 donation. Got a chance to talk to Rob a few times in Vegas last month. He did not mention he was a suffering Cowboys fan. I did avoid that at all costs, Sean. Thank you. Every donation helps here for Forward Progress, goes towards all of our content redistributed back into the company. Appreciate that very much, Sean. Best of luck to you this season on the NFL. Hope you have a great season. And again, very appreciative of that. Las Vegas and New England. If there's one game that might have some brutal weather today, this is the one. The forecasts do not look good. It looks like it might clear up by the start of the game. I'm watching Drake May on the field right now. It's raining pretty lightly, but on and off all day today. Las Vegas, clean bill of health. New England, their left tackle, Will Campbell, is expected to play. He was questionable. He's dealing with an ankle injury. That will obviously help because they're missing a key player on the other side of the ball in Christian Gonzalez. So I'm pretty strong lean Raiders here. I took a small bite of the money line, and I've been higher than market on Vegas all offseason. I think New England's also getting a bit overhyped. Both clubs swing from horrendous coaching to veteran coaches. So I don't really know what we're going to get out of this game, but I prefer Las Vegas. totally new Raiders look. Geno is a real upgrade. Brock Bowers gives you like an easy button when your protection doesn't hold up. You have Ashton Jeanty, Dante Thornton. They add a lot of juice to the offense. The O-line still has some soft spots, but I would expect Chip Kelly to lean into a lot of quick passing and some play action as well. If Mike Vrabel historically has a tendency, as a lot of the ex-Patriots do, to tilt coverage towards the best players on the other team. He's done this versus elite tight ends before. Probably will do a lot of that against Bowers. So that's naturally going to funnel some targets to Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker on the outside, especially with Christian Gonzalez ruled out. Ashton Jeanty can stress linebackers as a receiver and in the running game. Thornton gives them a lot of vertical speed that helps clear space, even if he doesn't become a volume receiver. So I think Las Vegas, if the weather holds up, can move it, even if it's not pretty. The other side, the big question for the Patriots will be protection for Drake May. New England's pass protection was horrendous last year's bottom 3 in the league. They spent at tackle. Will Campbell will bring them some long-term help, but again, he's dinged up. It's his first NFL game across from Max Crosby. The Raiders' pressure rate was not good last year. Crosby played hurt, but he's healthier this year. That changes things a lot for the defense. I would expect Vrabel to help May with a lot of heavier sets, maybe some RPO, utilizing the running backs a lot out of the backfield. Travion Henderson on third downs seems like a good pass protection and a good outlet as well. You pair him with Ramondre Stevenson. Linebackers in Las Vegas's defense, pretty iffy. So there is some potential to move the ball there overall. But I don't know. To me, there's just not much separating these two teams. And you remove the best defensive player on the New England side of the ball. You add in concern on the offensive line at, the most important position. I just don't, I look at market pushing out towards 3 with New England across the board. And I don't get it, really. Famous last words. I've played some money line on the Raiders, more money line than spread. And at current market, I like it. From a prop perspective, small one here. Almost didn't give anything for this game. I played a little Trey Tucker over 2.5 receptions at plus money. Again, lots of talk about Dante Thornton. I like him. But Tucker's going to have plenty of snaps. I think Thornton is more of a deep burner at this point. And again, in a game where you might see bad weather, I think some quick passes to wide receivers are in the mix, especially if coverage is shaded towards Brock Bowers in this game. Okay. Keep it moving here. Arizona and New England. Again, appreciate all the comments. I'm reading them all as this comes through. Connor, you've been great with the injury updates. Darnell Mooney inactive. We'll get to that shortly as well. But I do love when the commentary is going here on Sunday mornings. I do like to parse all that stuff in real time. Cardinals and Saints. I'm not going to spend a ton of time here because I don't have a strong opinion on this game. Arizona hits the season with a lot of players still on PUP and IR, especially defensive line and secondary. Will Hernandez out on the offensive line as well. New Orleans missing Chase Young, Trevor Penning out on the offensive line for them. I'm off the side here. I gave the over as my triple hammer on the Thursday show. That has since been bet up. I see a sharp book at 45 right now. Market is pretty consistently at 44. So New Orleans is thin up front. They're turning the keys over to, sorry, I'm just getting rid of some spam in the comments. They're turning the keys over to a rookie play caller quarterback combo that's going to want to push it. And to me, that runs right into an Arizona defensive front that added like real adults finally. Josh Sweat, Calais Campbell, Dalvin Tomlinson. Like those guys can squeeze the pocket and bait mistakes. But I would argue that the flip side is volatility. Like Kellen Moore will hunt for explosives with Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. And Arizona's corners are young. They like to show light and then spin a safety late. So you'll get some deep shots and also some turnover chances as well. And usually for me, that contributes to, I call it overfuel. As stuff like that matters. Vibration Assassin says, what about this random Kyler illness? That popped up this morning, and I think that's very real. Probably was sick overnight. I don't know how that's going to impact things. I mean, it can't be good. I'll tell you that. But if you look at the Saints defense, Cameron Jordan is past his peak. The Saints rush has completely tailed off. So Kyler Murray's going to have time to work, provided he's not like blowing chunks in the huddle, right? If he's comfortable, Marvin Harrison Jr. against a bad secondary, that's a mismatch they can hit repeatedly. Trey McBride should own the middle of the field. James Conner is like a real outlet here. So environment, fast track in a dome, no weather drag. Game script, if Arizona jumps early, like New Orleans has to chase, that spikes up the pass rate, spikes up play volume and variance as well. Rattler also, his style adds some pick six equity, strip sack equity, pretty aggressive throws. I think the best play here is the over. I come in pretty much on market. I'd love to see New Orleans win this game as I have zero exposure to Arizona in Survivor, but that's where I'm at right now. From a prop perspective, I played Spencer Rattler over on passing yards. I know the guy stinks. I'm sorry, though, that the pass yards number needs to start with a 2. Sub 200, considering the likely game state here and the conditions, I can't get there. So Rattler over on passing yards for me. Tampa Bay, Atlanta is our next game on the board. Just checking where we're at in market right now. And kind of just hovered in around this. It's kind of like a pick 'em, essentially. I know some books have one team favored, others have the other team favored, but when you look at the money line prices across the board, basically a pick 'em. Obviously, Tampa dealing with some significant injuries. You got Chris Godwin out week 1, Tristan Wirfs out week 1, Vita Vea expected to play on very limited snaps. Those are 3 key injuries. Also have some for Atlanta. Obviously, Darnell Mooney was mentioned. Caleb McGarry. I mean, that's been known now for a while that he's done for the season. I don't have a strong take here. It should be a good game, and I wish I had a better take on this one. I guess directionally, I lean under, mostly because both teams are down a key tackle and a receiver. But I'm honest about my blind spot with young quarterbacks. I don't know what Penix is going to be. I lose some of the conviction with the under, with Vea expected to play only limited snaps. I think there's a lot to like long-term with Atlanta, but this matchup to me would push them towards a lower variance plan. Todd Bowles is going to try to heat up a rookie. Like he does that pretty regularly. Penix saw the blitz well last year. It was very limited work. He was blitzed only 35 times, had a positive EPA, but that O-line with McGarry out, Elijah Wilkinson has not been a steady pass protector. I think this nudges them towards quick game, play action a little bit as well. They use Drake London as a volume guy. They use Bijan in the screen and draw game. Tampa's secondary still has a lot of soft spots. They're going to lean on some youth this year. So there's explosives are possible, but the O-line situation, I think, makes like sustained, methodical drives more likely than bombs in this. Tristan Wirfs being out for Tampa is massive. Baker was elite when kept clean last year. That gets harder when you don't have one of the best left tackles in football. Atlanta quietly loaded up on the pass rush in the offseason. Leonard Floyd, the first round, James Pierce, Jalen Walker. If they can win with 4, Tampa's offense could be in a big bind. New OC, no Chris Godwin. They're breaking in Emeka Egbuka opposite Mike Evans. A run game that's better, but still like pretty unproven. That's going to set up a lot more third and mediums, third and longs, some few drive-killing pressures as well. So Tampa rode some pretty noisy edges last year, right? They were outlier third downs, outlier field goal luck. They had a lot of snaps against backup quarterbacks. Atlanta had like the complete opposite luck profile. So not surprised to see Atlanta catch money in the market. I'm personally passing the side. Small lean under because of the offensive absences on both teams. Atlanta might make for I guess depends on what side of zero you're on. I was going to say make for a decent teaser play, but also the prices on teasers have gone through the roof this year as well. This is one game where I just don't like much for props either. I'm going to forego it. Yeah, I just don't have a lot going on with this game in its entirety. All right, we're going to get to the late games in a second here. Quick mid-show promo for the rest of you for NFL Sunday and Forward Progress. So lots of people asking via my DMs, on Twitter, wherever, even in the show chats, what's going on? Is there a watch-along tonight? So, different season this year. We're doing Sunday Night Football live on Twitter Spaces. That's going to be over at the Hammer HQ. It's fully interactive. Make sure you're following the Hammer HQ on Twitter. You can request to speak. You can jump in with your takes. You can hang out while we watch the game, answer questions, shoot the shit, basically, for Sunday Night Football. When Sunday Night Football wraps, you come right back here to Forward Progress. It's the Sunday reset with myself, Clive Bixby. Same format as last year. It's just happening right after Sunday Night Football. It's a light recap of the day. Then we're going to look ahead to the early lines posted at FanDuel, and we're going to give out some early bets. That was the best show in terms of performance that we had on the entire network last year, and that's not to pump my own tires. It's actually to pump Clive's tires. He had like an insane return on that show. So might want to check that out tonight. If you can't tonight, listen to it tomorrow morning on your drive to work. And then tomorrow at noon Eastern, Hammer HQ YouTube, you can catch Hammer Daily with Takes by Jay. Plenty of NFL talk, including full Monday Night Football preview as well. So set some reminders, follow the Hammer HQ, keep us on all day here and all night as well. And I appreciate your belief in me, Akshesh. I do. I'll catch you later on tonight. Tennessee and Denver in the late window. I'd say a little bit of Denver money here, as we've seen some books push up to 9. Total in the game is kind of sitting around 43, kind of everywhere at this point, I would say. FanDuel did push up to 9.5 on Denver as well. I'm not playing a side here. I do have some Broncos exposure in Survivor. My numbers lean over, which actually surprised me a bit when I ran it. But I'm guessing on Cam Ward, just like everyone else is guessing. Okay, I know I said this about Akshesh before with preseason. Preseason, you got to put some caveats on it. Denver's offense looked wired in the preseason. Both Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham ran the system very clean. The skill guys were popping chunk plays. This matchup invites a lot more of that. Tennessee's defense is in the below average bucket for me. They lost pieces in the offseason with no real strong replacements. The coverage isn't scary. Behind a pretty sturdy offensive line, Bo Nix should have time to work. Cortland Sutton, tight ends. The Titans are stouter inside with Tavondre Sweat, Jeffrey Simmons. So, I don't know that the pure running game is going to be great for the Broncos, but Sean Payton has RJ Harvey now. He can stress those linebackers as an outlet, as a screen target. I like the matchup for Denver's offense. If we were still dealing with last year's Titans quarterbacks, I think this could get extremely ugly. Cam Ward looks to be a better passer. He seems to be accurate when he's comfortable. He's mobile enough to keep drives alive. It's still a first NFL start at altitude in Denver with Patrick Surtain on the other side of the ball, best defensive personnel in football. And there have been, I consume a lot of content. There are people out there who think that that's like a narrative. I really don't. I think you actually have to put some stock into that. This is not a spot you would want your quarterback to debut in. It's the worst case scenario. Denver blitzed at a high rate last year. They're probably going to keep that up to dialing up those blitzes to test protections early on. I don't know if Tennessee has the counter just yet. We'll see. I think we learned a lot about Cam Ward in this game. Not too much more to say on that. Again, I do have some survivor positions on the Broncos. I'll be rooting to that. Small lean to the over. Got involved with a very, very tiny bet there. So just not much going on in this game for me. I do like, as a prop look, Tyler Lockett over in receiving yards. He's in the low 20s. He might see some Surtain in this game, which is why the number is this low. But for a number 2, I don't know. I came in pretty much higher than this on my projections. Again, tough to project this game because you have a lot of unknown on the Tennessee offensive side of the ball. But I did feel like Tyler Lockett's receiving numbers were a little bit low. Also consider the likely game state with Denver leading by a bunch. San Fran and Sam Snead, funny, Lockett yards after catch. I mean, he's definitely not a yak guy anymore. I'll tell you that. San Fran, Seattle. Saw some Seattle money in market over the course of the end of the week this week. I think a lot of that had to do with Christian McCaffrey's injury status. I'm good with sitting this one out as well. I mean, I nibbled the over early in the week, and Christian McCaffrey calf stuff would have kept me off that entirely. I tried to get out of that position as much as possible, still have some left. But where I stand right now is pretty much exactly lined with the market right now. The Niners are very thin at wideout. Brandon Ayuk on PUP, Demarcus Robinson suspended, some depth guys banged up. This has to funnel through George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey. And if McCaffrey's banged up in any way, that's a problem because Mike McDonald's unit is legit top 10, top 5 upside, maybe even number 1 upside, and finished the back half of last year absolutely cooking. But if there is a soft spot in the defense, I think it's the linebackers in space. And that's exactly where Kyle Shanahan wants to live, with choice routes, angle screens, Kittle on in-breakers and curls over the middle. Again, though, if CMC is limited or he's a decoy, San Fran really has to dial down the explosives. They protect Purdy with a much more conservative underneath script. And I don't love the 49ers when they're running that type of offense. Seattle on the other side, Clint Kubiak brings a very different offense. It's the under center, outside zone, play action world. And, the preseason run game looked really good. Sam Darnold stepping into a new system. The pass protection, could be up or down at times, but I would expect that Seattle leans pretty heavily to the run to start. 21 personnel, whether it's Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, they run some crossers to JSN and Cooper Kupp off of play action and stuff like that. San Francisco's front still has some teeth. You have Bosa plus some young pass rushers. They can bother Darnold, but they were pretty leaky against the run for most of last year. So I think Seattle will utilize that to get Darnold into some third and shorts and stay kind of ahead of schedule here. So tough game. I'm not chasing it in any stretch of the imagination here. I guess I have some Seattle in some stale lines pools, and that's it. But yeah, I figured I would be on San Fran week 1, considering where I have them in market relative to Seattle, but the offseason just wasn't super kind to them. From props, I usually have a pretty good mix of over and unders, but I feel like I have more overs in week 1 this year. I like Kenneth Walker over on receiving yards, which is in the low teens. I think his usage out of the backfield will be quite high. It was high last year. I'm actually surprised at the number, but I think a lot of targets are in play here, especially if San Fran can get a pass rush going in the early going. I think that will play into this even more. But I played some Kenneth Walker over on receiving yards. I like that one quite a bit today. Marquee game, I think, of the afternoon slate is Detroit and Green Bay, although this does look to be a really solid afternoon slate today, the 4 o'clock window. Lots to parse in this particular game. I haven't seen an update yet on Jaden Reed. I think Micah Parsons is going to go. I haven't seen an update yet on Nate Hobbs. So Green Bay is the team entering this game with a few questionable players. Detroit still dealing with some defensive linemen that are on the PUP list. Ennis Rakestraw out on IR as well. I don't know what to make of this one. I don't. I mean, I guess a decent size lean to the under with me sitting at 47 and the mark sitting at 48 and a half. I guess with where we're standing now at most books at -1, some -2, it would be Green Bay or nothing for me. But I don't know. I've been pretty on market for a lot of these games. And I guess that's going to happen when these have been open for, months upon months. Detroit's defense should look better with bodies back, but I, I know, lazy analysis. I've got some real early season questions about this Lions offense without Ben Johnson spoon feeding Jared Goff like wide open throws regularly. Green Bay beefed up the rush. They can move Micah Parsons around. They can move Edgerrin Cooper around. I think they can attack Detroit's reworked interior line. Like the tackles are still great, but life inside isn't what it was with Ragnow and Zietler there. So any leak inside there shrinks the play action window that Jared Goff lived on last year. Of course, they can still pop explosives. Jahmyr Gibbs is an amazing player. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, they have like elite top-end talent, but series-to-series consistency could wobble if protection isn't clean for them. On the other side of the ball, Detroit's defense is upgraded. They're just not at full strength up front, and that's going to matter versus a pretty sturdy Green Bay line. Jordan Love should have enough time to marry the run with some play action. They have Matthew Golden in the mix now, who gives them like a vertical test for the Lions corners. Even if Jaden Reed is limited, there's a lot of ways that this team can beat you. It's a tough game overall for me to value, right? I talked about the Detroit offense, but the Green Bay defense as well. Like you look at their EPA last year, they rode a turnover wave, basically. Their success rate was mid-pack, so that could be a pretty overrated unit. This is another let's wait and see for me type of situations. I wish I could, I had more here. It's a game that I really want to watch, and maybe I'll get involved live, depending on how things go early. But under would be the only thing that I can play here, and that is mostly built off the fact that I think a lot of Detroit's offense was Ben Johnson at the end of the day. Prop look, Isaac to Slaw, under receiving yards. I'm surprised there's even a widely available number here, to be honest with you. Just pulling it up right now. 15.5-ish. I still think Khalif Raymond takes the majority of the 3 wide receiver sets. I think there's always hype built around young players to start the season. And I'm not saying he's not going to be a good player. It's week 1, quarterbacks tend to rely on the vets a lot more. Jaden Blue sometimes gets scratched in favor of Miles Sanders. Coleslaw. Teslaa. It's incorrectly pronounced as Tesla. I think it's Tesla. D3 to NFL. Can't hate on it. You cannot hate on it. All right, final game in the late window, Houston and the Rams. I am swimming upstream on this one. I like Houston. The market keeps kind of nudging the Rams out. We're at 3, minus 115, minus 120, most spots right now. I think not having preseason work from your starting QB or left tackle is going to affect timing. I'm not in love with the Texans offense, but I trust their defense to travel, right? Stafford's back. It's hard to ignore. Maybe it's nothing. Like that's within the realm of possibility. That's nothing. Maybe it trims his movement a lot. Maybe he's affected a ton by it. The other worry was Alaric Jackson. He was expected to miss time with blood clots, suddenly practiced. He's going to go. But even that setup against Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter, that's not exactly a comfy setup if your quarterback's dealing with a back injury. I would expect McVay to live in a lot of condensed sets, motion Puka all over the place to dodge, static matchups. If Houston shows light boxes, which they tend to do a lot, lean on Kyron Williams. But I love this defense. Derek Stingley changes the margin for error outside. He was an absolute ball hawk last year. Houston's front is built to squeeze protection, force the ball out fast. If Stafford's not 100%, I think that compressed pocket will show up. This is a valid point that McVay's week 1 historically is incredible. He is a really good game planner. That's probably what scares me the most. But I got to trust my numbers. I've been betting the NFL for a long time, making numbers for a long time. I win with those numbers, maybe not on game day, but I do. So I just trust it. I'm bracing for a bad Houston offense. They're rolling in with 4 projected new offensive line starters. They lost Laramie Tunsil. Ed Ingram is going to try to play today at guard. He was very good in the preseason, so that would be nice for them. But they got to get out of these 3rd and long situations. A 3rd and long against this front is the danger zone. The Rams had a really good pressure rate on 3rd and 7 plus last year. CJ Stroud led the league in 3rd down sacks, lost a ton of yardage. I think the new OC there, Nick Caley, is going to give Stroud more control at the line of scrimmage. They've talked about that a lot, but that doesn't necessarily mean the offense is going to change. Joe Mixon is shelved. It's Nick Chubb, Dameon Pierce. They're fine between the tackles, but they don't have the same explosive profile. So that's where I'm a little bit more concerned. I understand the resistance here, but ultimately I cannot get to 3. I like the Texans at 3. And I'm hoping that they can win this game outright as well. Props, I like Tyler Higbee over on receptions in this game. I think this is very natural that they would avoid the Houston defensive strength in the passing game, which is quick rush, good corners, and attack the middle of the field a little bit with Tyler Higbee. I thought 2.5 at this number was a little bit under, valued. Connor says Houston won't go run pass every single series to get themselves in 3rd and 7 regularly. I will say that's a little bit misleading. That was the case early in the year. They did adjust that quite a bit after their bye and didn't have a ton of success. But listen, it's week 1 of the season. We're all just guessing at what's going to happen. And my best guess is that the Rams offense will struggle out of the gate. Finally, Sunday Night Football. Again, we'll be live for this with the Twitter Spaces. Lots of our Forward of Progress members. Takes by Jay, G-Stack, George. The crew is going to join in tonight. Baltimore-Buffalo, we're waiting to see on Tre'Davious White. I don't think he's going to play with that groin injury. That's big injury for them on the back end. But Baltimore favored in the game right now. I totally agree with that. I played some Baltimore early in the week. One of the first bets I made. I also like the under in this game. I don't blame you if you don't want to take the under in Baltimore and Buffalo. But I think there's a lot of game planning that might lead to an under in this game. Personally, I think the Ravens are the most complete roster in the league. They don't have a true game-breaking edge, but I think they control the pace of the game. They live on the ground. They squeeze Josh Allen into playing underneath, right? Last year's playoff game was basically the Bills season in a nutshell. Baltimore, 54% success rate. They lost the turnovers 3-0. Mark Andrews dropped a would-be game-tying 2-pointer, right? But at the end of the day, yeah, sure, Joey Bosa adds juice up front. I get it. Baltimore's offensive line continuity really helps going into the year. Lamar has routinely carved inside the numbers in this matchup. You have Derrick Henry thumping a very light interior, and I think you get a clock-chewing type of script for the Ravens offense, right? It's not that they can't generate explosives. It's almost that they don't have to generate explosives against this type of defense, right? Buffalo's going to give you the run, allow you to take it, and Baltimore's the type of team that will do that. Now, on the other side, Baltimore pressured Allen with 4, and they lived in zone last year. And they tried to keep the explosives capped. So the Bills will probably still be able to move the ball, but they're going to need to be super effective in the red zone. That worked in January. Buffalo had 3 short touchdowns, but the Ravens upgraded their secondary quite a bit. That lets Kyle Hamilton play closer to the line of the scrimmage. That is going to tighten things up quite a bit for the Bills. And if Khalil Shakir isn't right, that's Buffalo's best chain mover. It makes it easier to shade coverage. It makes it easier to rally on everyone else. Allen can be Superman. He's an amazing quarterback. But repeating last year's turnover luck, mistake-free, hero ball, that is a very tough task against the Baltimore Ravens. So that's where I'm at in this game. Played some Baltimore, played some under. And yeah, we'll just be looking for Baltimore to grind out some drives tonight. So, quick recap of the board. Really quickly from top to bottom. Pittsburgh and the Jets. I do like the Jets in the game. Seeing a few spots starting to shade towards the Jets, but nothing crazy. Miami, Indy, pretty much right on market there. I guess if you force me to pick, I'm taking the Colts. Played a bunch of Jacksonville. I think 4.5 is kind of right there now. Saw the money come in on the under, but not getting involved with that total. Giants, Washington, small lean to the under there. I'm on market for the side. Arizona, New Orleans, played the over in that game. Gave that as my triple hammer on Thursday. Nothing on the side. Cincy, Cleveland, like the Browns. I think a lot of the value's kind of been sucked out of that number now, although a little bit of Cincy money in the last hour. So you could still find some 4.5s out there, even a 5 if you have access. Las Vegas, New England, pretty strong lean towards the Raiders. Man, I'd love for that to touch 3. I just don't think that it will. Tampa Bay, Atlanta, no strong opinion. Very, very small lean to the under in that game. San Fran, Seattle, not doing anything with that one. Tennessee, Denver, same thing. Detroit, Green Bay, at 48, I would play the under there. And nothing on the side. Houston, Rams, I like Houston in that game. 3 + 100. Baltimore, Buffalo, kind of a combo of Baltimore and the under in that game. Monday Night Football, wait and see approach. Original lean was towards Chicago. There was some concerning injuries on the injury report yesterday, so nothing for me there. That'll get broken down a little bit more tonight, and we do have Hammer Daily tomorrow as well, where that will get touched on a little bit more. I definitely think I see some people saying over. At 43.5, I think I could see myself getting involved in the over there, possibly today or early tomorrow as well. All right. I do appreciate every single one of you that tuned in today. That's a wrap for week 1's Pizza Buffet. Thank you if you jumped in the chat. If you got value out of the show, please like, subscribe, and share. It goes a long way for helping us grow this channel. Big thank you to our presenting sponsor, FanDuel. Special shout out to our producer, Barbara Alberts, for steering the ship behind the scenes. Everyone enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'll catch you right back here on Forward Progress for the Sunday reset tonight, immediately after Sunday Night Football. Good luck with your bets this week. Peace out.